This is the pound CAD, and remember we're talking about two weak currencies. We're looking at the pound, which is weak, and we're also looking at the Canadian, which is re reasonably weak because of the liquidation that's coming into the commodities. So you can see that what would appear that the dollar or the pound is strengthening versus the Canadian dollar, but this is not really that the pound is strengthening versus the Canadian dollar. Rather, it is the weakening or the weakness that's coming into the Canadian. So we now have two weak currencies, not weak, one weak currency, which is the pound, and we have a currency that is suffering or is going to suffer from long liquidation. And if I'm going to get long liquidation or I'm going to get exit from a long position, then I'm going to get a great deal of selling pressure coming into that currency. So that's what's going to allow the pound to appreciate versus the CAD. Now take a look here. See those 2 days? These are the little telltales of the charts. Look at those as soon as it comes up. It's not coming up on your screen. Okay? And this is some of the telltales that we get from the chart that gives us a heads up. See this 2 days, the pound is strengthening versus the CAD, so we should be looking for a continuation to the upside. But I'm going to put the dollar CAD. I want you now to see the dollar CAD. Just remember this. See the dollar CAD? This thing is doing a big momentum move to the upside in the dollar, while in the pound it is barely doing nothing. It's nothing. So if I have a choice now, the dollar is definitely stronger versus the pound. And if I'm going to be taking a trade, I want to be taking the dollar CAD rather than taking the pound CAD. But it's still, this means that the CAD is being sold off, and I have a fairly safe bet with the pound CAD because, again, of the weakness of the Canadian dollar or the liquidation that's happening in the Canadian dollar. So with this, I can have a fairly low-risk entry to the upside as far as the pound CAD. So we are 10 pips. I mean, we closed at 107.03. Last week's high was 107.46. Okay, so we have a low-risk entry to the upside. We can buy it above the 103.46. So for the pound CAD, we can buy, that's a low risk trade above 107. Okay, that is, we can buy it above the, tell you what, we'll buy it above the 107.75, which is the high. We'll buy it above the 107.75. Okay, and we are going to put our stop because this is the pound and it's weak. So we're going to give our stop. We're going to put our stop put our stop Technically, I would rather put my stop. I'm putting the stop below the structural point. I'm putting my stop over here. It is a big stop, but that's again it is because that the pound is weak. The pound is not moving higher based on its own merits, but as a secondary or a byproduct for the move in the pound or the liquidation of the CAD. So in this case, as you can see, look at this. I mean, the reason I'm saying this is what? Look at the daily chart. Look at this. This is what's happening. Even though that the pound dollar, the pound CAD is flying, okay? If the pound dollar is, the pound CAD is flying, if you decide to choose to trade the pound CAD, then you have to accept the fact that it is not, it is a weak currency. It should, if it is strong, it should have given me a similar move. So if you want to trade it, then you trade it based on its characteristics or its merits, and in this case, you have to be using a rather wide stop as far as the CAD of the dollar, the pound CAD goes. Okay? As far as shorting that baby, the high probability trade is to the upside. And we are going to short this one if it trades below so this is our shorting point to short the pound CAD. So we're going to buy above the 107.7 and we're going to put our stop below the 169, and if it only trades below the 169.17, we're going to take it short. And if I take it short, in this case I can use a smaller stop. I can use this one here as, I can still use the 106 169.59 as my stop. Why? Because in a downtrend it's weak, I can put a tighter stop, and in the move up I have to use a bigger stop. Okay, so let's put the where would the structure be in the pound CAD on the daily chart? Right back below the 107, 167.18. So we're going to go long above the 107. I think my head is not clear today. Seven, 77. And our short is 106. 169.59. and the pound candle structure points are too far away, so I'm going to leave them as is right now. Okay?